This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, so we are recording. So I'll go ahead and open the meeting of the Southampton Public Safety Building Committee, Monday, June 6th. Anyone from the public who'd like to speak who's not on the agenda? I don't think so. Okay. Review and approve the previous minutes. Did everyone get the minutes that Cindy had emailed out?
Is that a copy of the meeting?
Yeah, I had 2 copies. There's one extra if you want to take
A little
look.
rough on the printing.
I did read them, but I'd like a copy of them if it's extra.
That's extra. I went to print them, and that was the second, and it started. So
I have a printer at home, Christina, but mine was offline, and I can probably get it back online if you
No,
want.
this is good. Just for record, thank you.
any questions or comments?
I thought you were fine.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We're good to sign in here.
I think Board of Health wants to keep that for.
I can second them. Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes as written?
Aye.
Great.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
So 1 abstention?
Yes, 1 abstention and 6.
I wasn't here either, so I can say as well.
Okay. I think technically we need one of you to.
Well, still a quorum. It's
Okay.
just 2 abstentions.
Okay.
Okay. Hi,
Sounds
Jim.
good.
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning.
Next, we have the senior center status update. Rainey, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, so they met a week ago Thursday, and they have pretty much the same properties that are town-owned property that they're under consideration. A collaboration with the church, the old town hall, and the current town hall. And also, then they're looking at, I think, 6 properties that are on the triangle of Route 10, Clark Street, East Street, and all. So there's a total of 6 properties that are privately owned that they're looking into. So the engineers of the committee are looking at topography and all kinds of specific land details, acreage and water and conservation restrictions, APR, whatever. And then 3 of us are coming up with specs for the senior center, must-haves and would be good to have based on our trips to a number of other senior centers. And then our real estate person is looking at all the deeds and just seeing if there are any deed restrictions. And then the plan is to, they're drafting right now a request for quotes. And still the hope and goal is to hire or engage somebody on a feasibility study by the end of the month.
Okay, can I ask, just because I'm curious in terms of our planning as well, so a lot hasn't been selected, but it will be before a request for quotes goes out, or it'll be a request for quotes not necessarily knowing the location?
No, it'll definitely be similar to this, where it would be, these are the priority spots, what's the feasibility of building a senior center there? So
Okay.
they're still going to narrow it down to just a few properties, but the goal will still be the same, that the feasibility will be, the request will be for a feasibility of, what's the feasibility of having a senior center at the old town hall, or a collaboration with the church, or where the current senior center is, and then the same for private, but that would be based on reaching out to landowners. And there is a landowner who has already, because of communication with somebody in the committee, has already said that they'd like to talk to the town
Okay.
about their property.
Okay, so the request for quotes is for a feasibility study.
Correct.
Okay, just correct.
Yeah. That's the charge of the committee.
Does anyone have any questions on the senior center?
Well, I just have one. When you refer to the current senior center, are they just looking for improvements to that one small room? What do you
This property, this whole town-owned property.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you. So expanded and in a different building.
All right, so anything else on that?
No, they meet on Thursday.
And they're meeting every other week as well? or-
Yeah, and they're recorded, and they're usually 12:30, I think it's 12:30 on Thursday, right? Ed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, the next thing I want to do is Randall from the Highway Department joined us, but had a time constraint, so I had him up first. We just wanted to talk to you about, as we're looking into these lots, one lot that has come up is the Highway Department's current property. Of course, there'd be, I don't know, lots of things to talk about there, but we just wanted to bring you in to the conversation really and start to get your opinion. Obviously, you have a good handle on the town-owned lots. What we've been looking at is really here, this lot that, in terms of town-owned lots, here, this lot that we're sitting on, the Highway Department, and that's kind of what we've narrowed it down to at this point. We'd had a couple others, Moosebrook Road and Pomeroy Meadow Norris School, but eliminated due to traffic concerns. So I just want to see if you had any thoughts, or if you, I don't know what you know or don't know about this process so far.
I know that I saw the old design that was gonna go up in back of the fire department. I guess back at that time, my concerns were with the grade, because you'd still have grade concerns. I don't love the exit out of this parking lot now. It's pretty steep in the wintertime. It gets a little slick. But other than that, the highway department property definitely has some challenges as well. We take up a lot of space there. The salt shed's out back, and there's access to that, and there's kind of a bottleneck as you pass the building. The lot I don't think is big enough to allow for like two-way traffic. There's only like a one-way road out the back. So that's kind of what I see on those two particular lots. But I'm sure there are other design considerations that take precedent over those.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question about the bottleneck, because I was back there the other day,
Sure.
and it's clearly a bottleneck with the sort of jutting out of dirt and trees.
Right.
Is that town-owned land, or is that private land that jutting out? Or do you know?
I'm not sure how, we looked at it this morning. Do you have the maps?
Yeah.
I guess the question is, could it be removed?
Partially.
Time and money, sure, but you need a retaining wall there,
Yeah.
and I know the neighbor's lot is odd, and they have a finished slope that goes up to a flagpole that's lighted, so.
Yeah, gas tanks in that direction too.
Well, yeah, the gas tank's right, or the diesel tank is underground there, but that might not be a consideration.
I didn't hear what you said.
Diesel tank, I know there's a diesel tank in that area. As long as
Oh.
Yeah, it's right at
road traffic.
right at the base of the hill. It kind of helps create the bottleneck.
Okay. So you're not really sure if that bottleneck is, in fact, town-owned land, the jutting out part,
Some of it is, I mean,
some of it is?
the amount of retaining wall you have to build there, I think would make it cost prohibitive, but I don't know.
Yeah, so you could only cut back so far based on
Right.
this.
Okay.
If I approach, I can show you where the
Yeah.
diesel tanks are too. So the building, the little roadways here, Cindy?
Yep.
This is that knoll that goes up. The diesel tank extends almost out. Like if you envision a single main road, it goes there. The diesel tank is right here.
Yeah, okay. So lot preparation is a big factor here.
I'd say, yeah, and you know, we need this big teardrop to be open. That's where we load the trucks in the wintertime, so that would have to remain open, just for deliveries of the salt and sand, as well as us loading it and taking it out.
Okay, so the end of the property is right there behind the salt shed?
Yeah.
I see. Did you see that?
Yeah, but this wooded area where this knoll is, are these squares, Mark, you plucked these on?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so that's kind of that's the only unused space.
Right, not to get into details, I threw a
phenomenal-sized fire department building on there. By the time you put that building department, existing building department, fire department building on there, and think about circulation, and then adding a police station, and then adding parking. And I was out there this morning watching the trucks running back and forth, and I don't think today was extremely busy. I would be hesitant to have cars parking there, people accessing the police department, as well as the DPW vehicles in and out, and that's what we use it also for staging areas for Eversource. So it's a busy, busy site to have locals come in there for police or fire access as well would be difficult.
Okay, so then I know it's a huge cost, but something else that had been brought up is potential relocation of some of the highway department services, if that would be something that, if this was deemed to be a better location for public safety department. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Of course, that would have to be analyzed, the cost of that.
Right, what do you mean? Like splitting up the facility and housing some of the vehicles somewhere else, or?
Either a portion of it, yeah. I mean, I know we looked at some of the space over on Moose Brook near the transfer station. There's additional town-owned land over there that had some traffic concerns for the fire department,
Right.
but may have less traffic concerns for the highway department. I'm not sure.
I mean, right now it's pretty advantageous to have all of my vehicles at the highway department where the sand and salt is located, the mechanics there. I would be hesitant to split up access to that, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I don't think it's ideal by any means.
Yeah, no, I understand. Is there anything else anyone has for Randall? Kind of just an information and gathering exercise, to be honest.
I'm happy to reply to emails too if you have anything comes up.
Okay, great.
I'll do my best.
I would request that goes to the chair, though. If anybody has any questions, if you could just go through Sarah, just so there's not a lot of outside of the meeting communication.
Great.
Okay. Anything else?
Randall, in general, do you have an opinion about siting of the building?
Of the public safety
Of
building?
the public safety complex, or building?
Right on Route 10 is going to be anywhere on Route 10 is going to be a slam dunk because the state has far more resources than we do to keep roads completely open.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's a good point.
That sort of worked with us, for us in the past, just because the police station's so close to Route 10 and the fire station's right on Route 10 as well.
Oh,
Just so I'm clear on the minutes, Randall, at the very beginning of when you spoke, you said you saw the old design. I assume you meant like the 2012 proposal, is that what you're referring to?
That sounds right.
Or the roughly that year, I believe that might have been the year.
Yeah.
But were you referring
What I remember
to-
about it is there was a lot of contouring of the parking lot, and it looked like it would be
What parking lot were you referring to?
the new fire department or public safety parking lot.
For this site? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, for this
For this site, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what
Just
you're
trying to
referring
find
to?
places to put the snow. It didn't look fun.
yeah, so just kind of as an informational, the Historical Commission has stated at this point that removing the existing fire department would no longer be an issue, which was an issue back, 5, 10
Oh, okay.
years ago. Just for your information, if
So it
there
could be a
were.
modified design.
Yeah.
The issue last time, I think, was there were a lot of retaining walls, so thinking about how to get the snow out of the parking lot, where right now I just push it off the sides and,
Right, no, that makes sense.
logistics.
So, not that there may not be concerns, but it would be different than it was back then if that was the route that we went.
Okay. Great.
All right, I think that's it, unless anyone has anything else for Randall. And you're welcome to hang out, but I know you said you had somewhere to be too.
A meeting to be at.
All right, well, thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randall.
Take care.
And then next, Jim and Eugene, you guys had asked for some time, so we put you on the agenda. Want to hear what you had to say?
Okay.
You're welcome to talk from wherever you'd like.
Okay, I know you've got a lot on your plate and a lot of possibilities for where you're gonna possibly put the safety complex. We're just gonna throw another one in the mix, that if you're interested, just, if it's something that works for the town, we're putting it on a table for that. So I can show you it's just a rough draft. I mean, it may work, it may not, but if you want to consider it. It's this right here. This is on Route 10, across from Cumberland Farms.
Is this multiple copies of the same thing?
They're all the same copies.
Perfect.
So if you all want to look at one, everybody, let's look at one. You can pass them out if you like.
I can put it here. Make sure everybody there gets some too.
Yeah, and Nate does it all, but I didn't know how many people that It's just like I said, it's just a rough draft of an idea that if the town thinks it's something that they want to move forward with, we'd be willing to. If not, that's fine too. But if you're looking at the map, just to orientate you, this is Route 10 right here.
You don't want to be close to me. My granddaughter was exposed to COVID.
Okay.
I don't want you to get
Okay,
Jim.
thanks, listen. Let me see here if I can, let's see. If you're looking at here, this is Route 10 right through here. And there's a proposed road going through to Lynn Drive, and there's a 4-acre parcel. Let me see if I can point out.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, it's depicted right here. It's a 4-acre parcel. That is a possibility if the town is interested in something like that.
What's your schedule with development of these other?
These are commercial lots that are just A&R lots.
Okay.
Because they're already commercial on the road. So those can be cut any time. But this road, it's just preliminary. I'm not sure exactly the design. I'm just throwing this out there to see if it's something the town would consider. This is a 4-acre parcel that Eugene and myself would be willing to donate to the town. The land value would be 0.
Okay.
So it's just another possibility. I know you got a lot of options on your plate, and if you want to run this to the select board, if there's any interest in it, we could
So
talk
just to
further.
fill you in as to
Yep.
where we are, we have made a list of private parcels as well. This parcel as a whole is
Yep.
on our list of private parcels, as you
Okay.
probably assume, because of the location.
Yep.
So what we're going to do before we bring anything to the select board is make sure we just review all of the private parcels that we've,
Okay.
which this is kind of step one for this one, to be honest. This is helpful since you guys came to us. Okay.
I know it's flat and it's sandy. It's an easy build site. But
Yeah, and it's,
whatever.
So this would be access to College Highway and then also access to Lynn?
Yeah, exactly. And College Highway as well. It's back.
Can you point out to me, I wasn't up here when you said Lynn, what's the,
Oh, one second. Cindy.
Is the house here? Or is that-
No, that's just, all they did is
This
they
is land.
imposed the
Okay.
original
They're saying this
safety
is a
complex that
road.
that brought to the town years ago. They just placed it
This
on
is
it, that's all.
Just the footprint there?
These are
Okay.
commercial properties.
so Jim, you're going to be putting these roads in, giving access to this?
Correct, this road will go in at some level. It could be a cul-de-sac, it could hook the Lynn, not sure, but this would be, then there'd be a 4-acre parcel here that we want to donate to the town. If they feel it works. And then the other thing too, I know it's 4 acres, there might even be room if they wanted to put the senior center there. I mean, it could be dual purpose, but we really want the safety complex. If this goes forward, we would donate for the safety complex at no charge.
So, where is your boundary now? Here? Does that delineate?
Yeah, that is
it?
correct. It goes here, here, and here, across here, and then this way.
Okay, so the dotted line or the broken line is indeed
Correct.
your property, all of this. And so these are houses?
These are houses over here, correct.
And what is this?
That is, I don't know, it's just a piece of land strip that somebody owns.
Where are you
Th-
looking
this
at?
here.
Is it on the Lynn
right here,
side?
this right here. I don't know what that is. It goes all the way through.
Is it your property? Is it
No,
part of
I don't
the
own
deed?
that. Our property goes along this line,
I see.
this way, and then that way.
Okay.
The thing that's exciting, I think, as well, just down the road, that's the rail trail.
Right. What's the elevation drop from the property to the bike trail?
It depends. If you go on the upper side, it's fairly steep, but if you go on the lower side, it's not bad at all. It's
Okay,
very
because I think that
drivable.
came up at the senior center meeting too.
I thought that would be great to have a path down there with maybe some parking down by the potential rail trail if it ever gets there. There's a lot of goodness that can happen, and it gives access to the safety complex to the rail trail. But it's just ideas. I'm going way beyond
So Jim, so you and Eugene own this parcel right here,
all
correct?
this, all this.
Yep. So therefore, are you privately putting in this road?
That, we would put it into here, at least with the cul-de-sac, you need frontage for this lot, for the
Right,
safety.
right.
We would do that, we would pay that. I mean, that's
That's
fairly
right, yeah.
pricey, but I would probably connect it to Lynn to have.
Would you be paying for this, or would the
Yeah.
town be paying for this?
Oh, no, the town's not paying for any roads.
Okay.
We would donate this piece to the town
Okay.
if you guys think it
And
works.
then, I mean, we just heard Randall say, you know, the question was, what's kind of the ideal in his opinion? He said something on Route 10, so this isn't on Route
It's
10.
not on Route 10, but it's pretty darn close.
It is close to Route 10, yeah, that's true. So where do you see these fire engines coming out?
Over
Like
here.
this way?
Yeah, and this would be great. You know, if you had it here and you're backing it off Route 2, it would be, I don't know, I think that would be not as, just, I was on the department for 13 years. I mean, if you had it here where they back in or drive through and drive in, I don't know how they're going to design the facility.
Yeah.
But
I think.
it's all flat. This is all flat, which on the, you can
Right.
see the contours. This is where the hill,
Right.
and this is when Maureen was asking, the contours are much less over here. There was an old farm road that went around down through,
Okay, and this is Fletcher over here?
that is correct.
Yeah.
So these are 4 commercial lots that you anticipate, and then...
Those are already existing commercial lots,
And then the
correct?
housing was going to be where? I heard that. I thought you mentioned a couple houses.
Down the road, I have no desire, I have no, not desire, I have no plans for any houses at this
So
point.
all of this land, there's no plans for?
Not yet.
Is this the same parcel that Eugene gave a tour of 3 years ago?
I think he gave a tour down here.
Well,
Do we want to try and combine the conversations? I just want to make sure everyone hears everything if there's questions asked is all.
Yeah.
You guys are more than welcome to have it.
It's unbelievable. I mean, really, I know it's been talked about before, I know that there's stuff that's gone around with it. I just appreciate the fact that you came back to the meeting and presented it again. It seems like a great opportunity.
And like I said, it's open for discussion. If the select board feels it's something they want to move in that direction, we can meet with you and we can sit and discuss it and talk about it further. I'm just putting it on the table as one of your many
Yeah, no.
offers at this point. We didn't know where to start or where to go.
No, we appreciate it. My only thing is Christina, I heard you asking a question. I just want to make sure everybody had the opportunity to try and listen. So I guess if we have questions for Jim and Eugene, that now would probably be a good time.
Well, Jim, quick question. Based on the scale, it looks like it's about maybe 350 feet from the road.
Oh, I think about 300 to the edge of property line.
Yeah.
The commercial district, I believe, part of this property is 325 feet from the center of the highway. I think it's about 325, 330. And the highway is roughly 60 feet, so it's roughly 300.
That's from Route 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all one parcel, but the zoning, the only thing that changes there is the zoning at that point. The zoning is commercial highway, and then it goes to commercial village in the back.
You mean residential village?
Residential, I'm sorry, not commercial.
I was trained by the best, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Cindy on the planning board.
Yes.
Current fire station is probably 150 feet back from the road.
Yeah. And a 4-acre parcel, I think, would house it, and I'm not, all I'm throwing is ideas out there that if you have a parking lot behind the safety complex and you put a senior center, you get everything. It's just food for thought. You guys can talk about it and see what you want to do.
Would this become a town-owned road, or is this a private
That would be a
drive?
town, that would be a town-owned road, correct. We would build it to the standards for the town. The subdivision regulation the town has in place, it would meet that that requirement.
Okay.
Randall is the one that does all the inspections on it. It goes through the planning board. To build a road, you have to hire the engineers, they do the design. I'm not sure how much you're familiar with that, but Cindy knows now.
More or less.
And the parcel behind it, this parcel just behind it, that has yet to be
Yeah, that's just
planned
vacant
for?
at this point.
Okay.
So I heard Chief Workman, this is my question, not for the minutes, but
Yeah.
you said something like, great opportunity, you like this. Do you two chiefs envision this being a joint complex? As way back in the beginning of the meetings, you both said it would be great if you would be on the same site. Is that how you
That
envision?
would be the public safety, that's a public safety complex.
That's what you see, both
Yes,
police
yes.
and fire on this?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's the best use of
Chief Dillingsworth?
resources, and I'm a taxpayer too, so I'd rather two separate buildings, it makes
Okay.
sense to have both of them together.
Do you think it's attractive, Chief Illingsworth?
Yes, I do.
You do?
This is also a road behind these two commercial lots between?
Yeah, that could be a road or that could just be an access way. If there's any commercial on the highway, just from my years on the planning board, it makes a lot more sense to have one entrance. So people, if there's a subway here or whatever, I'm just, to park behind, you have one entrance to keep all these different driveways. So that's why this could be a driveway from there to there, but the road would be at least that way.
Good opportunity. I mean, I think just to let you know, we're trying to, select these lots and then bring them to the select board with lot recommendations. So like I said, this lot was already, on our list that we're trying to narrow down. So this is really good information as we try and do that.
Okay.
And then once we bring the lot recommendations to the select board, it's kind of up to the select board to give us, direction and next steps.
Yeah, considering it's free, you can certainly prioritize it on that list.
Yeah. That's important information.
I think the important thing to remember is that the Lees came to us, that we don't know about the status of the other people, that there was something reported to the senior center building committee that another property owner is interested in talking to the town. So in terms of prioritizing, I think we have a process in place, and I think that it's best if we just follow the process.
I agree.
Absolutely. I mean, the more options you have, and then just pick the best one. That's great.
So
I am going to ask one more. It might be a hard question. What if
Oh, boy.
this committee and the select board determines the best lot is not back here, but right on Route 10? Because that is right on Route 10. How does that change things?
I would have to talk about it. I suppose when it comes to that, we could talk, and I can't guarantee anything at that point, but we could, if they're interested, we could talk.
Okay.
all right. Does anyone have anything else before we move on to the next item? Thank you for coming.
All right.
And you're more than welcome to stay. You don't have to.
No,
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Eugene.
I'll see you guys.
Good seeing you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
I also would like to just say before you step out is that it would be good, now when Eugene gave the tour, he did say that your lawyer would be in touch with the town. And it would be, if there are any terms and conditions, I think that should be spelled out.
Yeah, there will be a couple, very small, off the top of my head, and one of them is it has to be used for safety complex at minimum. That's all. I mean, if they get other uses for the property, that's fine, but we at least want to see the safety complex. That's one of the requirements. And the other would maybe some sort of time requirement. I don't know, it'd be 3 years before the town could say, yes, we're going to do it, or no, no, the town, if it goes to town meeting and they try to get funding, we're putting this forward, I mean, let the town step up to the plate if this is the direction it goes. We'd like to see that happen sooner than later. The town needs a safety complex somewhere. I really appreciate what everybody's doing here. because that is probably the biggest priority in town.
I agree.
Yes, I think we all do. So that is pretty much it? Those are the things you can think of?
Those are the big ones off the top of my head. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah, that's
yeah.
fine. It's just we need to have all information to
Yeah.
know how to consider it. So thank you very much.
right, you agree with that, you?
Right, we just don't want to donate it and then they do nothing with it.
No, of course.
We want something to happen.
Yeah, we'd love to see something happen there. Something happens somewhere in town. I support it no matter where you guys choose.
Well, there is
So-
an urgency, certainly, so I don't think it would be idle. And that is a reasonable request, that you're donating it specifically for a safety complex.
Yes. And I'm friends with one of the senators, and I mentioned it to him in passing, and he said, oh yeah, he says, John, everybody knows John.
John?
Belis. I was talking to him, he's a good friend, and he mentioned that when you're ready, he'd love to get and meet the people, the principals, whoever's in charge, and he said, see if you can get state, federal, and local all together. It would be a community project.
Kelly P. said the same thing at the Memorial Day Parade when he said, we're really going to push for this. And I've already requested a bit of a placeholder from the select board, but I'm only one vote towards at least getting the feasibility funded sooner rather than later, because it's going to be hard to get funding any other way quickly. So we'll see. Hopefully that'll happen.
That's great. I mean, this is a great thing for the town.
Yeah.
Just looking at the contour lines here and also the size, is it feasible that this could be a one-story building versus having to, for instance, not have an elevator system?
It's 4 acres, which
4 acres,
is substantial. I think it's way more than, I think.
Our last building,
Was-
the original proposal, 22,000 square feet.
With
Okay.
multiple, with multiple, 2 floors.
That's what you're counting is square footage.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
It was total
outside.
square footage, that wasn't just footprint.
But was that on 2 levels? Was there any?
It was 2 levels.
That was everything combined.
Be nice to have it all on one level.
It reduces cost significantly, that's what I asked.
What was the other thing? What you see located on the plan is the actual digital image from the other safety complex they proposed to the town that got voted down. That's what they used to plug in on that location. So
It looks like there's plenty of space
if they
to
wanted to, yeah.
the right-hand side. I'm not seeing what direction.
That building can be reconfigured.
Yeah, and it seems as though there's room in this direction.
Well, this is showing a drive-through for the fire trucks.
No,
This is showing a drive-through for the fire trucks. This building can be altered.
Sure.
This is a
You could flip it,
concept
yeah,
plan.
there's a lot they could do.
Really
what is this little thing here?
That's parking islands, the parking, we head in parking, those will be landscape islands.
Got it. Thank you.
Resend you though. Maureen, I'm sorry.
Again, the final design would be by, well, this shows a great feasibility for the site.
I sent you the copies.
Right. But what this building shows on the location is that there's plenty of room for a different footprint.
Yes.
And Bill Cannon, he's an
That
architect.
says, oh.
Landscape architect, yeah.
He's the one that put that. I needed something to some sort of reasonable scale. I could have blown it up on a much bigger, but I didn't have a plotter or anything today. So it looks small, but it's a good parcel.
All right, well, thank you.
Small.
All right, very good.
Thanks,
Good luck.
Take care. Take care, Eugene.
Thank you.
Good night. Can I just ask, what is your name for the minutes?
Sharon
Hart?
H-A-R-T.
Thank you. Sorry.
All right, so I wanted to kind of, as we go through, the next item on the agenda was review of next steps. So I wanted to kind of give everybody an update. Ed and Reenie and I and Chris Fowles have had a couple emails about the Labries coming. And one thing that came with that, and I think is important, and it's what we should do, is that the select board would like us to bring both the public properties and the private in one presentation, which does seem to make sense. But the other thing is, I think we need to do our same due diligence with all of these private properties that we've effectively done with this one. And it seems to me like the direction was changed to some degree about reaching out to private landowners at this point, based on the emails. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what your question is.
So before, when we had talked at one point about reaching out to Labreeze, I was told the select board would reach out to landowners. But based on our emails last week, it sounded like, say we wanted to talk to the Goral family, to do the same, to engage with them in the same way that Labreeze engaged with us.
My sense is that, and I'm thinking about one particular member on the select board was particularly interested in knowing what town lands were considered and why were they removed. So that was one thing that the select board wants to hear.
And I think, yeah.
And then in terms of reaching out to landowners, they were clear that the select board will reach out to landowners.
Okay.
Not the public safety. And the only reason why Labreeze came in here was because they came to us,
Yep.
we didn't go to them.
Agreed.
That's my understanding.
So the information that I'm curious about is, in particular, the Goral family land. Cindy and I went for a drive this weekend and looked around, and that one in particular, I hadn't realized, the college highway access. I don't know what, your guys' thoughts are on that property, but it'd be interesting. It seems like it would be fair to at least give them a chance to talk about the property, if they're, I don't know what they're doing with it, if they're interested in this at all, before we just go with
But here's the
the
issue.
Labreeze. I just want to
The
bring it up.
Labreque property, the Goral property, the Champagne property, they're all on the senior center list too. Both of these committees report to the select board. So what I wouldn't want to have happen is to have this, like we're not competing.
No.
We have to be on parallel paths, but also keep good communication open. So I think that last time and this time, I think that the letters that go out to landowners saying, are you interested in engaging with these committees? My understanding is they come from the select board.
Okay, so I guess what we should do at this point is we've narrowed down the public land to Fomer and College Highway, meaning Town Hall, Fire Station. The private, we still have a few on here that I think could probably be removed. Do we want to run through these private lots real quick and see if we can get these down to 2 or 3?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
So the first one I have on this list was 89 Clark, which is kind of a combination with 275 College Highway. It's Ryan Gallagher's property. The street frontage is Clark, and then there's a kind of a combined driveway with College Highway. Any thoughts on that one in terms of traffic? We eliminated some of these others due to traffic concerns. So I think that's kind of the first pass.
Well, I think the combined driveway will bring you all the way out to Former Road. That's through the fields back there. It's not a driveway that's anywhere close to Clark Street.
So it's really a Clark Street access.
Access.
Yeah.
And just so you know, both Gallagher and Marmon Keystone are on the list and very desirable to the senior center.
Okay.
So both Gallagher and Marmon Keystone land, there are 2 lots next to Heritage Surveys.
Right.
So I'm not saying that they're just probably going to come back to the select board saying that these 2 are.
Okay. This whole thing's, it's just it's an interesting, aspect of just having the 2 committees working concurrently.
Yeah.
Just like you said, making sure we.
Yeah.
Isn't there a concern about groundwater contamination with the...
That had been brought up over there.
Well, the engineers that are on the senior senate committee actually are looking at, they're going to report off on Thursday, but that was back in 95, 96. They've been doing test wells, and I don't think anything has come up, but at any rate, they're reporting back to the committee on Thursday.
Okay.
Maureen, are they inquiring about how much acreage? I mean, are they looking for a specific amount of acreage, or is there, should you get a donation of acreage, are you asking for more, or meaning like it could be a combined site if?
Yeah, I think they haven't removed the combined site from the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
By combined site, you mean public safety plus senior center?
Yeah, I think that, I think that that's why we're kind of reporting back and forth, is just to keep everybody on the loop. And if both committees say it would be ideal to have the Clark Street site or the College Highway site, then one letter would go out saying, we have 2 committees looking at blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested in donating or selling any property?
Okay.
So is there work that the senior center has done in regards to some of the parcels so that we don't do redundant work?
There is a Google Drive, and there's also all of their things are recorded. But they similarly have like a Google Drive, and I think, who's the person that works there? Ty
Have they
Vaughn, I think.
approached homeowners, or do they have the
No,
same thing?
no,
we did?
they're just gonna do the same thing, report back to the select board. That's the point I was making. I just don't want this committee to report to some landowners when they're on the list for the senior center also.
Yeah.
And they have a ticking clock in terms of
So they have to
the donation from
they
Red
have to have a
Parsons.
plan in 2 years, is it?
It's already by next May. 1 year's already long gone. Because it took that long to clarify the will and liquidate the assets and all that. So they have 2.5 million donation, but it means that they have to have a plan by the time of his death, which was a year from now. Which is why they have the tight deadline of the end of June.
Yeah.
But yeah, they talked about, how could it be if, both sites are on Clark Street or both sites are on College Highway. So they're having the same conversation, so I just want to be cautious about.
Yeah, I'd say cautious, and also we don't want to be redundant.
Yeah, and then
If
one
they're
of-
doing a bunch of legwork, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure their legwork and our legwork
right.
are probably the same.
Yeah, and similarly, one of the members of the committee turned to, knows one of the landowners and said, yes, I'd be very interested in talking to the town. So, I just want to be very cautious about, it's wonderful to get a donation like this, but there's another person that's in the same boat that hasn't come to the committee.
Yeah.
So,
You mean to this committee?
or
Or to the
other
COA committee, to
It was
either
just
committee?
Because they knew somebody on the senior center committee and expressed an interest in talking to the town.
Okay, so just to kind of move back onto this, so do
Yeah.
we want to keep Clark Street on the list? Right now, just to run through this real quick, we
Yeah.
have Moose Brook and College Highway, that intersection there. We have College Highway, the LaBreeze property. We'd had Fomer Road, which was Matthew Murphy's property, and then Paul Champagne on East Street rear. I think that one probably should be removed. Any thoughts on that one? That seems like challenging access.
Yeah, that is still on the list for senior center, just so you know. And actually, I just got an email with the deed restrictions from the person. They haven't been reported to the meeting yet, but I just want to be cautious about sharing information before they're being discussed in the other committee. But the person who was in real estate did a deed restriction on all the land, so I can send that to everybody.
Okay.
But in terms of what Sarah's just raised,
Yeah.
I was personally a little confused about the Elm Street versus the East Street and the Champagne property back there. And it didn't really look like a town road even. It looked like a little pathway, right? That
Right.
went over to East Street. We weren't exactly sure there was a good access there on the Champagne property. Somebody else have an opinion, I wonder.
I don't think there's good access.
Okay, it seems like that's one that could easily be
You have that
eliminated, I
unimproved
suppose.
road that kind of goes behind that pond.
Yeah.
Which is obviously gonna have to be improved. And then you have Elm Street, which is extremely narrow.
Right. So that should probably, it seems like of all of these, East Street rear is one that could easily be removed due to traffic concerns and road improvement requirements.
Do you know, Chief, if that is the unimproved road is indeed a town
It
road?
is, I'm almost certain it is, yes.
The one that goes,
That-
completes the
that-
triangle.
that-
Looks like a car
Yeah.
path.
It is still a town road.
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
It's not maintained, I can tell you that much, but I believe it's a town. It's just, it's an unmaintained road.
Okay. So now we have the two properties on Clark Street, 0 Fomer Road, which isn't really, when I say 0, it's not at the corner, it's past the highway department. The LaBreeze on College Highway and the Gorel family land on Moose Brook and College Highway. So that's down to generally 4. The Clark Street, there's a couple lots there. Any thoughts on prioritizing, getting that from 4 down to a smaller?
Repeat the four. LaBreeze, Gorels.
LaBreeze, Gorels, Matthew Murphy on Fomer
Murphy,
Road, and then
okay.
the Clark Street, there's a couple different lots, but they're all kind of in the same
Okay,
location.
sorry. Yeah.
I think it was determined or discussed last meeting and determined or decided that the Clark Street was quite an ideal location with easy access to the highway. Do I remember that correctly?
I think it's definitely good why it's still on here, it was prioritized why it's still on here. So I think, what about Fomer Road? Any thoughts on that one?
I don't know that much about that one.
So that one is kind of like,
It's a large lot.
Yeah.
there's a house in the middle of it.
Seems like it's relatively flat. I think the west side is drier than the east side. I think the east side has some possible wetland issues, but it's a very large parcel.
It's also, the topography is pretty steep in the back,
Goes up a
right?
little bit.
Yeah.
would the facility be able to be on the flat before the property rises? Is there enough room?
I don't think there's.
I don't think there is.
I'm
It's a
not
pretty
quite-
steep.
I'm not quite-
It's right across from Virginia
Correct,
Ahart.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the residence that have pine trees lined all the way to the
Yep,
driveway, right?
yep,
Yeah, it's a
that's-
pretty steep grade up there.
That, and that's dead center. That house with the pine trees is dead center of
It is,
that lot. And if you look to the right-hand side, I think there's a ledge outcropping there. And then as you go up farther up the hill, you get into wetlands on the east side. And then if you flip to the other side of it, where the house is over there, the groundwater is right at the surface.
How many
So-
acres is it?
It's a lot. It's 22.
If you're doing a building, and probably the building would have to be up on top of the hill.
You know what fire trucks rolling down.
Well, that's why they can jumpstart the truck at each.
So of the 4 locations, is that one we'd want to eliminate or still keep it on here for contact? I think at this point, we're trying to make, get the list down to which owners do we want to contact, and I don't know that this is too many. I just am asking if that's one we'd want to keep on here.
I would think if we have 4, and we contact all 4 in conjunction with some of the senior center stuff, and then it's gonna come with, if there's more offers of people donating land, it's gonna come to $1 and cents, what makes the most sense for the town,
Right.
is what it seems to me. So I would say just keep the 4 on there.
Okay, sounds good. Just
Yeah, I
to
agree.
clarify, I said 4, but I kind of was referring to Clark Street as 1, so there'll technically be 5 owners with Marvin, Keystone, and Gilher, but one kind of location
If
over
we're not
there.
prioritizing them, up on the hill it's not ideal for me, so I wouldn't be against taking it off, nor making it the lowest one on the list, if there is such a thing.
Okay, I guess that's the next question. So, our next step, I think, is to clean this list up, include, the town-owned properties, the reasons for elimination, and some sort of document to present to the select board. Is there anything else we need to do? Essentially, we'll be presenting to the select board saying we think the highway department and town hall should be included for feasibility study, as well as these 5 private lots, and we'd like to request the select board send letters to those private owners at this point to gauge their interest, because there's no reason to spend money on a feasibility study if there's no way somebody's gonna sell or they have an outrageous price. Everybody agrees? What else do we need to do
You
before?
may want to also tell the select board why we didn't decide on others, like if they were, wetlands or if they were
Yeah.
conservation, just kind of some of the criteria, if they weren't good access for vehicles on and off.
Right, so some of these ones that were on the list but then got removed more recently due to traffic concerns or,
Because it sounds like that's sort of what Reedy was saying, is that there's somebody who was wondering why some might have been taken off the list, and we should tell them.
yeah, we could definitely put that information into like a 1-page type.
Yep.
I think John's comment was, he wants to know why certain town-owned land would be excluded.
So
I think
town-
that was his original.
You mean John from the select
John
board?
from the select board.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. There's only so many town-owned lands of a certain size, so
Right.
it's not hard to put together
Right.
a short list of those properties that aren't included that are of the size that could be.
After discussing the lot with Randall, is that something that we want to consider?
That's
I
it.
got the impression that,
Yeah. He didn't sound excited,
or almost seems,
challenged it.
yeah, almost not feasible, just based on what he discussed.
I think it's an economic thing, the amount of retaining walls and everything else, as opposed to, if you did it in Blaston here. It's all gonna come down to,
Well-
which is the most,
That's all about the feasibility, though.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds like he's a very sensible person and knows the area, but wouldn't it ultimately come down to some kind of a scientific feasibility study as to?
I suppose, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to reduce, lost time and wages here, because he described, and I never considered this, between the corner of that building and that small way to go to the back lot,
Yeah.
you don't really have much room for 2-way traffic, especially with 2 trucks, with the tanks there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
well, they're gonna prioritize, which I don't know if we're doing that, but I would
That's what I'm
prioritize this one here, and then that one would be second.
So maybe that's something we should do, because I kind of like the idea of having at least 2 town-owned properties on our list rather than just one. But do we want to try and prioritize these? It seems like the town-owned is very easy, right? Is everybody kind of in agreement that this is one and the highway department's 2. That seems like what you guys are definitely saying.
Yeah.
And none others, correct? Those are the only
Those are
two
the only
that we're
two.
looking at right now, yeah.
So, number 1, number 2, and then what about the private lots without I don't know, the whole, I just don't want,
I think with the private lots, you almost need to
we don't,
like, send the letters out to see, because if there's more offers like Labrie, that's going to take precedence. over-
right. That's what I'm saying, I don't want to put that one as number 1 just because we know it's a donation when there could be other folks who would be
Perhaps
willing.
it's location that we can
It's
prioritize it.
Right.
It's location.
Yes. you
So
know.
do we,
Because if you got something that isn't perfect location or isn't perfect traffic-wise, it falls to the bottom of the list,
Right,
and you don't
yes.
pursue.
It's Clark Street and the Labrie property, location-wise, would be, as far as I'm considering, number 1.
Okay.
2 of those lots.
so the Labrie and Clark
That's just
Street,
my personal opinion.
do we want to have those as like dual number 1s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Chief's assessment.
I'm going to ask Rini a question because you're referencing that there is a landowner that might want to present, at least to the COA group, Senior Center group. Is that landowner represented on this list, or is that a different person?
It's represented on the list.
Okay, that's all I need, okay.
So Fulmer versus Moose Brook and College Highway, it sounds like, any thoughts on that? Moose Brook and College Highway 2 and Fulmer as the last, is that where we're at?
That's
I
right.
mean, the Gorals is
Yeah.
Moose Brook and College Highway.
Moose Brook and College Highway is the Goral family, so I would put that as, I guess it's number 3 because there's 2 number 1s and then a Fulmer
Road would be 4.
number 4. And so right now, of course, we'll have to, it would kind of depend what the letters came with, but when I'm saying Clark Street, we're talking about all of those lots right in that location.
May I ask, those lots on Clark Street, is each lot capable of handling the facility, or are we looking at 2 lots that we have to secure?
No, they're each capable. The Gilaher lot right on Clark Street is 7 acres, and the Marmot Keystone lot, which I think is actually a lot up from their building, but that's 16 acres.
All right, okay. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, they're both
I'm
large.
looking at somebody's got an acre and the other guy's got 2, and
No, no.
they're trying to.
No. Okay, so it seems like this kind of needs to be assembled, and then I think we're ready to talk with the select board about basically present what we have and ask for letters to be sent to the private landowners. Does everyone agree?
I'm going to ask a question because last year, Chris Fowles was putting together, proposals for potential grants that the town could apply for. And I think you, Chief Illingsworth, were on that committee. I know I was in the background, kind of. Did you, in fact, speak to the Marmot Keystone people at the time? And I don't remember
I
what
was
the
the
answer.
last, prior to the current charge of the select board,
Yeah.
I was asked to reach out to Marmot Keystone, and I did. I went to I called their local office. That is a corporation. It's a nationwide corporation.
Right.
About 6 months later, I don't even realize they had that property. About 6 months later, their real estate agent, I think it was Colebrook, contacted me through email asking if we were interested in it for 1.7 million, and it was 12 acres.
12 acres, 1.7 million.
And then, like I discussed in the last meeting, they reached out to me, and I didn't give any information out. He asked if there was any discussion on it, and I said, there's a committee together. And I did ask him, I said, is there anything that you'd ever consider separating as far as acreage? And he said, it's a possibility. And I said, well, all I can do is bring that to the board, and that's it, to the committee, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think that that's something too that, I don't know if the select board would determine or if we should produce some sort of paragraph that should go to these landowners in terms of what size. I mean, we're not necessarily looking to buy 20 acres from the Gorals or from Ryan or from whomever. Do you know what I mean? So is that something that the select board would be looking for us to put together a paragraph or something to go in the letter in terms of what we would need for space and road frontage? And
I think it would be helpful to send something to the select board before the meeting and just say that this is where we're at, this is the recommendation, this is what we're looking for in terms of acreage. So they have something beforehand. But my understanding is it's a joint meeting with the Public Safety Building Committee, so anything that anybody wants to say can just then be said at the meeting, I think.
Okay, so we had talked about a joint meeting, 15
June
days.
21st.
Right, so is that all?
That's still the plan, right?
It's still on go if they're ready.
Okay, I think so. You guys think?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, so can we put together a quick list of things we'd want in a letter to a landowner in terms of what we're looking for? I mean, we've been talking 3 acres, but if some of these folks have a lot more than that, should we be asking if they're, I think we should just have in this letter how much we're looking for, because
Or perhaps a minimum.
oh, right, a minimum. What do we think that is?
Again,
4?
can I just say that if there is an overlap with senior center and there is interest in having it be combined, that's just a consideration that it be specific that the Public Safety Building Committee would want to have at a minimum, whatever, just in
Right.
case, like we hear from the senior center group, and they narrow it down to a similar place.
Right, if they're looking for
Our
2
letters
acres, we're
would be
looking for 4 or
like,
whatever.
would be different, I think.
I'm not sure I follow that one.
So let's say both groups narrow it down to the same Clark Street College Highway site. I think it's important that you just say that at a minimum, the Public Safety Building Committee would want or need X amount.
Yeah.
The letter might end up being different based on what we hear from the senior center.
Well, you know, word it again, at least, whether it's 3
Yeah.
acres or 4 acres.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So do we want to,
Because actually, theoretically,
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to sell you 20 acres,
Mhm.
and you wanted to put a public
Yeah, right.
complex and a senior center there, would, for the right price, it would give you room to let the housing authority do affordable housing too.
Mhm.
yeah, that's true. Charlie?
If you're going to ask of a minimum, I would suggest that you ask for 3.5 or 4 of usable land.
Yeah, that's a good
Because you're gonna have somebody giving you a wetland that's 2 acres on it, and you can't do anything with it to start with.
Well, of course, I mean, if they sent that as, if they came back with that, then,
But I've seen this
It
come
would-
back as that.
right. So, okay, so 4 acres of usable land.
So it's 4
Um,
acres, 4 acres, not
Right.
3.
I think 4,
4 is better?
We'll
Okay,
give you a couple,
Yeah.
I think the only site we're looking at was 3.5.
right.
okay, okay.
With proper zone, with proper frontage.
That's what I was just thinking about. What do we think for frontage? I mean, a minimum of,
150 feet.
oh, I was gonna say even more than that. Say 200, 300?
What's minimum?
It all depends on
Lot
what zone you're
zoning,
in,
yeah.
you know?
So we have to subdivide a parcel if we needed to at least have legal frontage.
Right.
Yeah. So did anybody ever get back with zoning about if we have to adhere to zoning regs?
We
You do not?
We do not.
I kind of figured we could, yeah. So, but 150 gives you a 50-foot driveway and still a 100-foot lawn.
Is a 50-foot driveway adequate for the passing of cars and the passing of trucks and?
I think, I mean, these, like these little commercial lots they're looking at, these little 1.5 acre lots, I think are like, have like 100 feet of road frontage. So 150 seems like,
150?
Yeah. What I'm thinking is 100-foot lawn and 50 feet of roadway. That's going to give you 25 feet on either side of the lanes for vehicles that are, what, 8 feet, we'll say, wide, just for round numbers. That means you got double lanes on both sides.
Depending on how close the fire station is to the road, though.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
But and then we're going to need a sidewalk when we got the 100-foot lawn.
okay, so anything else that we would want to have in a letter to landowners other than 4 acres of usable land, minimum frontage 150 feet?
Timing?
Yeah, I was gonna say time frame, maybe a time restriction to respond by.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely want to respond within, I don't know, 30 days or something like that, 60 at the most.
Yeah, I think 30. What do you guys think, 30 days?
Well, for at least a response, but if there's reason why they can't give you a complete response, complete answer, awaiting some factor, that would be explained within 30 days.
Yeah.
Do all of these locations have municipal water availability?
That's a good
All the
question.
stations, all the ones we talked about.
Okay.
The
So-
only thing that, somewhere down the line, we're going to have to open up the ground and do some soil.
Perk test.
Yeah. I know how to do that.
You know? I guess the question that, were you going to be asking them, are you asking them for a price now, or are you just asking if they'd be interested in entertaining, being approached by the town for land?
It would be most likely, would they be interested in engaging in a conversation with the town regarding purchase or donating?
The town has to go by basically appraisal value versus someone asking price.
I don't know, is this kind of acquisition, do they have the availability for the tax program? Like landowners that donate conservation land, they get the opportunity for reduction of their taxes up to, so this wouldn't apply in this one, no, okay. All right.
Okay, so I can put together a document that includes these, basically our prioritized list. Just to review what I'm going to include on here, number 1 and 2, Town Hall, then the Highway Department for town owned, and then Clark Street, the multiple lots there, and Zero College Highway, Eugene LaBrie's property as private number 1s, Moose Brook and College Highway, the Gorel family, and then Zero Fulmer Road, Matthew Murphy. And I will also include below that a list of properties that were considered, town-owned properties that were considered and then removed. Is there a reason to include private properties that were considered and then removed, or just? Okay, so just town-owned property.
I would say yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
I would leave the complete list of pros and cons, whether they stayed on or were removed from the list.
Okay, so I'll include
for both
a list
town-owned and
below
private.
of things that came up for discussion, were worthy enough to come up for discussion and why they were taken off.
They can see how much work we did.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot of different things.
So this is all public record, so these landowners can see why perhaps their land was either removed or considered. It's all public record. Okay.
Okay. And then I can include in this document just a short blurb, in the where we'd like to request the select board reach out to landowners. These are the required, things we'd like from landowners, that we're looking for 4 acres of usable land, or a minimum of 4 acres of usable land, minimum frontage of 150 feet. Please respond within 30 days, and then it'll be something about engaging with the town regarding donation or sale of your property. I think including the word donation is important.
Yeah.
Just to be, just.
Absolutely. We just heard somebody talking about donating.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah, just.
Yeah. I think that it's important that we say that this is what this committee's recommending, but again, it won't be up to me alone or anybody else about whether or not the 30 days makes sense. I mean, it depends on if there's going to be a report back on the senior center before we end up sending these letters out. So it might, it seems logical for 30 days to me, but I'm not
sure.
I'm one that the vote.
I think one more factor might be considered for this letter, and that is the landowner had specific details they wish to have understood. We can't say what those are, but I think we should give at least the opportunity. Is there other factors that you would want to be considered? For example,
as far as conditions?
Conditions or whatever. The LaBries just gave us a whole presentation, and I'm just thinking we should make that. We should open that door for somebody to.
Thoughts and concerns.
Yes, so please include in your response any other considerations or something along those lines.
Something general like that,
Or if they would like to present to the committee.
I'm wondering if 30 days is too short. If I'm a landowner, I get this letter.
Yeah.
Should I talk to my lawyer? Should I talk to my real estate agent?
My sibling.
And my sibling.
There you go.
Or my kids.
Already you got that?
Yeah. So I think starting at 30 days might be a little shock.
Maybe 30 days to express interest back?
Yeah, that's all we said, was just respond in 30 days. You don't have
Start putting
to.
conditions on there, I guess, start really.
I honestly think the select board's going to make that decision in terms of the time frame.
Okay.
It's going to depend on what the senior center wants to do in terms of sending out letters. Personally, that's what my thinking is.
Okay. Basically what we're doing is presenting recommendations to the select board, and then the select board will decide what to do. So our next meeting would have been on the 20th, which is a holiday, but we're going to have a joint meeting with the select board on the 21st. I will put this document together this week and get it out to everybody a week from now, just for, I think we've discussed all the details that will go in it, but just so everyone has a chance to take a look and then get it over to the select board.
So are you looking for response if you get it out to us? Or I mean, we can't
I can't.
deliberate online, but we could give her a response directly, can't we? We can't do it among ourselves.
So okay.
We just delegate for you to put this together.
I think we've already talked about everything that'll go in,
Okay.
so I guess I'll just send it to the select board, CCing the whole group, so we've all seen it. Is
Okay.
there anything else that we should talk about that is gonna go in
I'm just
there?
waiting to add something under other items. I think it came up tonight about like square footage, and people started talking about the previous feasibility study. I'm just wondering, not at this particular meeting, but I'm just wondering if it would be a good idea for like you and the chiefs and maybe John O'Shea, possibly get together at some point and have a conversation about, similar to what the senior center is currently doing, is must-haves, desirable to have. Because I think that that's where things got a little bit difficult last time in terms of proposing something that was unaffordable, whether because of the land preparation and/or what was included in the. So I just think that somewhere down the road, maybe at our next meeting, we can have a conversation, but it seems like having somebody with your background, with the chiefs, and also maybe John O'Shea or someone who's been on building committee meeting before, if we can do similarly to come up with a list of what would be important to have, because I think that's going to have to be information that goes out to whoever we hire for the feasibility committee.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that we're gonna have some time once we present these lots to the select board, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, well, it'll take 2 weeks to get the letters out or whatever it is, you know, we'll have some time, I think, putting all the information together that we would want to give to whoever does that feasibility study will definitely be the next step. All right, anything else for other
Sorry,
items?
did we come up with another date for the next meeting?
No, so that's what I was wondering. So we'll meet in just over 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a day, a joint meeting. We won't meet on the 20th.
What time is that meeting?
What time is select board?
We meet at 6, is that when we would meet, first thing?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so is that okay with everyone, 6 PM on the 21st, and that'll be downstairs? So I'll schedule a meeting on my town government and just show it as a joint meeting.
And then you'll open up the meeting during our meeting,
Okay,
and then we'll just have a joint discussion.
okay, should I have like one agenda item, or just say joint meeting, see agenda per select board?
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And Ed and Chris Fowles are the ones that do the agendas, so just getting any materials over to them so we can send it out with our select board readings.
Okay. So then since we're meeting that week, do you guys want to just go to our next meeting would be July 4th, so that's not going to work. So if we're trying to keep Mondays, do we want to meet the week after we have the select board meeting, the 27th of June, or skip and go to the 11th of July, or pick another day other than Monday?
Maybe just waiting to hear back from select board at that point, so I'm not sure how much of an agenda we're gonna have.
I think the next
Maybe
big, the 11th, and I think on the 11th, it would be good to just start the next step of making a list of things that would go to someone who's gonna do a feasibility study in terms of what space you guys are looking for, you know, that sort of thing.
So July 11th is
July 11th,
4:30.
at 4:30. And then we'll have the 25th, and we can talk after that. All right.
Sarah,
Yeah.
that list of describing why you didn't choose certain locations sounds like a daunting task. If you'd like help,
Okay.
feel free, because I have a clear recollection of those locations, so.
Okay.
As to why you probably didn't, so if you want to send me the sheet.
That would be helpful. I'll put together those, and I know I have notes on a few of them on like traffic concerns, but that'd be helpful.
Just a clarification on the date of the next meeting.
Yes.
That was July.
July 11th is our next meeting at 4:30, but 6 PM on June 21st is our joint
I
meeting.
got that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Okay, go ahead. Was there a second? I did-
Second, thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.